Hey, and welcome to the NFL Divisional Round Preview with Aaron Schatz and Mike Tanier. It's the Schatz and Tanier NFL podcast from FTN Fantasy. I am Aaron Schatz. You find me at ftnfantasy.com/DVOA. He is Mike Tanier, live long and prosper, from themessenger.com. I was going to say Mike Tanier of the Kohanim, but no, just I think more of a Vulcan. We were just talking before we came on about the big stuff we're working on. First of all, for folks who don't know, I have a very big piece today at ESPN Plus where I ranked all 32 teams by how good their rookie classes were as rookies.
Oh, wow.
So you'll find that on ESPN Plus. Do you want to guess which teams were on top and bottom?
Give me the, what's the parameter again?
This is all 32 rookie classes based on how good they were as rookies.
This year?
Yes.
Rams is number 1.
Rams is 2.
Houston's number 1.
Houston is 1.
Okay, Houston's 1. I thought that the rank and file guys, besides Puka, for the Rams would push them over CJ and Will Anderson.
It's based in part on SIS total points. Quarterbacks come out way ahead of everyone else. So I ended up with Houston as 1. And then on Green Bay is 3.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Just because it's so many guys, like no stars, but just so many guys. And then Dallas is last because I didn't count Brandon Aubrey. Because he played in the USFL before, so he's not a rookie.
No, he's a rookie. That's a rookie. It's like saying, you played in like the World League of whatever. You're still.
They had like nothing. They had like their draft picks turned into nothing.
Nothing. That first round pick, that defensive lineman, I thought was going to be productive.
Yeah, he wasn't. Not as a rookie, at least.
Yeah. The fact is, like, for the regular season, they did not really need rookies. I feel, you know what? They could have used that running back, that little running back.
Yeah. Deuce Vaughn.
And instead you had Rico Dowdle.
And then I'm working for a couple weeks from now on rank the 57 Super Bowl champions from worst to best.
Ooh.
With it's based on DVOA, including the playoffs, and then for the teams before 1981, I did an approximation based on PFR's simple rating system and what their winning margin was in the playoffs.
Okay, interesting. Now, the first team that comes to my mind is because I've worked with you for decades. The best team is going to be 1992 Washington. Is that 1991?
Yeah, 1991 Washington is number 1. Yep.
Right. The great team that everyone sleeps on in terms of how great they are. The 85 Bears have to be real high.
Yes, 85 Bears are number 2.
Right. Because they really, especially in the playoffs, they slaughtered everybody.
Hitchhiker's Pie wants to know why I didn't use Andreas Shepard's estimation of DVOA. That's because Andreas did that like 12 years ago, and DVOA has changed a bit since then. And also, I wanted to incorporate the playoff margin because this includes the playoffs.
Right.
Can you guess the best and worst of the pre-1981 teams?
Pre-81, best and worst. God, I'm going back to that Super Bowl 5. That Colts versus that Colts team, Super Bowl 5.
That is the worst. They come out as number 57 on my list of 57 Super Bowl champions, the 1970 Baltimore Colts.
And not to get deep into the weeds of history, because I'll talk about how the AFL was not as strong as the NFL, and people yell Joe Namath at me or the Chiefs at me or whatever. In 1971, I believe it was that year, or 72, the Colts got moved to the AFC where it was full of AFL teams.
Right, in 1970 was the first year of that. And if you look at SRS on PFR that year, it's like ridiculous how much better the NFC teams are than the AFC. It took a couple years of the joint drafts for the AFC to catch up to and then pass the NFC.
Right.
But in 1970, the NFC was like way better. So then for the Colts to win that Super Bowl by a field goal, they just weren't very good during.
They weren't very good, and people will be like, "Well, what about Don Shula's Dolphins?" Like, yeah, that was a good team. Al Davis's Ravens were a good team. The Patriots were not even a professionally run organization at that point. The Chargers were bankrupt every year. There were all of these other AFL teams that came in that had no business. The Broncos at that point were a mess.
John Coleman asked about the 76 Steelers who killed the Vikings in the Super Bowl. I think I just did them. They're like 28th or something.
Really?
Yeah. The highest Steelers team is Hold on a second. The highest Steelers team is 75.
Okay. They all run together if I don't have it in front of me.
It'll surprise you, I think, which pre-DVOA team I came out with as the highest.
Super Bowl IV Chiefs?
No.
AFL. Okay. The 78 Cowboys that beat the crap out of the Broncos in the Super Bowl?
They got 77.
77.
No, it's the 73 Dolphins.
73?
You don't think of 73 because you think of 72. And you think of, advanced metrics have never really liked the 72 team because their schedule was so easy.
Right.
The 73 team played a much harder schedule, dominated it to a much bigger degree, and then won bigger in the playoffs. So the 73 Dolphins actually come out as the best of the pre-DVOA Super Bowl champions.
And if I'm remembering correctly, I don't have it in front of me. In 72, Earl Morrall had to come in for Bob Greasy a couple of those games. They just won. They just won because they were playing bad opponents, and Morrall wasn't terrible. Greasy was healthy in 73.
Yeah.
And I believe Warfield was healthy. And then they had the quadruple threat running back team. So I believe.
And then what are you working on these days?
I'm working on the worst coaching hires since 2000 in the NFL. This is a companion piece. We did one for NBA, and it did real well at the Messenger. So we're going to do one for the NFL because what works. It's also a fun topic.
Yeah, my first response to this was Petrino. Petrino.
The man who left the note. He left a note like a dad going out for scratchers and never coming back, And what a POS. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say anything good about Bobby Petrino.
Rod Rust, Hitchhiker's Pie mentioned. No, they're only doing since 2000, dude. They're only doing since 2000. We're not going back to the 90s. Rod Rust was bad.
Rust was bad. There are a bunch of, I can't do Kotite with the Jets, which was an obviously terrible hire. But no, we're going to keep it relatively reasonably. It's still a bounty of riches. There's still too many guys I have to sift through.
Yeah, it's just the record of the college guys coming to the NFL is just, that's going to be a lot of what you're writing about. Petrino and Urban Meyer and Saban didn't work out in Miami. And it's not good. Who?
Matt Rule.
Yeah.
Matt Rule.
That's going to be good. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yes.
Let's preview the divisional round, shall we? All right, let's start with we did a little bit of this on the Tuesday show. We're going to do more now. And don't forget, of course, if you're watching us live on YouTube, you can ask questions and make comments. Let's start with Texans at Ravens, where the Ravens, of course, were destroyed all of DVOA for the whole year. And the Texans were 12th, but a little bit higher than that if you take out the CJ Stroud concussion games. And the problem I wrote up the preview for this, which is now up at ftnfantasy.com/DVOA.
Okay.
It feels like Stroud's strengths are all countered by where the Ravens' defensive strengths are.
Okay.
He's great on deep passes, but the Ravens' defense is great on deep passes.
Right. He's
better against nickel defenses, but the Ravens are better when they're in nickel. Defenses. He's better without a blitz, but the Ravens are better actually, or something. What did I? All of a sudden, I'm forgetting what I wrote.
Okay.
And then you pointed out the big one about the Ravens offense, which is, my God, with the broken tackles with the Texans.
Right. And this was something that they kind of, let's say, got away with during the year. But you don't have elite manpower on the Texans defense, and they were second most broken tackles allowed. Texans defense, only the Washington Commanders, who had a ridiculously bad secondary, allowed more broken tackles than the Texans, and this is going to create probably catch and run opportunities, especially since we may be seeing Mark Andrews back. He has been limited in practice, but practicing, and that's just going to open up things more for the Ravens.
Sorry, I don't know why I didn't write this down. The other one was the Texans are second on first down passing.
Okay.
The Ravens are first against first down passing.
Interesting.
So again, the strengths of Stroud, the one place where it doesn't really work like that is that Nico Collins was so good.
Right.
And the Ravens were 12th against number one receivers.
Okay. And Marlon Humphrey is on the injury report. He's probably going to be your number one receiver guy, the defender. Don't know what his status is. Another one to look at for the Ravens injury report is Zay Flowers appeared on it. He was limited in practice.
Oh.
He's a yak guy. So if you want broken tackles and things like that, he's going to be your guy. That's worth monitoring. The Texans injury report, as usual, is a phone book full of guys where you're not even sure. Like, again, Greenard is on it. Will Anderson is on it. Noah Brown is out. He's on IR with a shoulder injury. John Mechie is on it. Robert Woods is on it. So, like, it's this panoply of these guys that Stroud and the defense count upon.
Hitchhiker's Pie points out that the Texans do not pass that much on first down. They have one of the lowest pass rates in the league, and that's a problem because they cannot run the ball, which means they're going to end up in second and long and third and long. And guess what's the number one defense in the league on third and long?
Would that be the Baltimore Ravens, you say?
Minus 83% DVOA. On third and long. I mean, DVOA, the range of ratings is much higher on third downs.
Okay.
Because third downs are so important. So the lows are lower and the highs are higher. But again, like it just doesn't. I mean, I feel like Stroud is good, but that side of the ball doesn't add up for enough. It doesn't add up to enough to overcome the fact that the Texans' pass defense is bad. And it's weird because they have a pass rush.
Yeah.
Let's assume Greenard and Anderson play.
Right.
They're third in ESPN's pass rush win rate.
Okay.
But 23rd in pass DVOA. Now, here's the funny thing. You would think that means that the secondary coverage is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But the new cornerback DVOA that I developed this year, all the Houston cornerbacks come out as above average, except for Shaquille Griffin, who's not on the team anymore. It's the linebackers and safeties who come out as bad.
Okay. That's interesting.
It's interesting because of the whole thing where I think I talked about on Tuesday's show, the Texans are terrible against passes to the left, and that's Steven Nelson's side. So you would think Steven Nelson would come out with a really bad coverage DVOA, but he doesn't. So that's sort of weird. That's sort of, I'm not exactly sure what that means.
I get the impression that they protect him a little bit, that he's going to be sitting back in a zone, things happen in front of him, et cetera. You also have opponent adjustments, and you look at who the Texans played, and you've got a lot of, the Titans, where if you opponent adjust for what's going on against the Titans, who have no offensive line, have nobody but Nuke Hopkins, and Nuke Hopkins is 64 years old. You look at the Colts, where it's nobody but Pittman. Okay, obviously the Jaguars are a little different. The strength of schedule that Houston has played can be a little bit misleading in terms of their success against a lot of those opponents.
Yeah. Now, Jackson has struggled against the blitz a little bit this year.
Okay.
And Texans defense is a little bit better with the blitz.
Okay.
So that suggests blitzing him. But I think I've mentioned this before too. The Jackson blitz stats are back and forth over the last couple of years. Like last year, he was better with a blitz. And then this year, he's better without a blitz. So it's one of those things that's going to require some study as to how consistent blitz versus not blitz really is from year to year. Like, how real is it? And how much is it just a Wyatt Earp splits happen thing?
Right. Or that you're looking at sort of the high volatility of Jackson being blitzed, where how many scrambles went for 40 yards, how many times they throw it downfield and find a guy, how many times does the guy down the field drop it? And you're looking at plays that have 30, 40, 50-yard swings in the data. And you're saying you're increasing Jackson's volatility when you blitz.
I mentioned, I wrote this week about aggressiveness index. John Harbaugh was very conservative this year on fourth and one.
Yes.
One of the reasons being, I think, that they failed so much on fourth and one over the last couple of years. Right. Well, guess what? This year, guess who's third in the league running on short yardage?
Right.
The Baltimore Ravens. And even though the Texans have a very strong run defense, they're not strong in third and short.
Wow.
So sort of suggests that the Ravens should go for it on fourth and one.
A little bit of the Gus bus. They do not sneak with Lamar Jackson, but if Lamar prefers
this. No, but you could option with Lamar Jackson.
You can option with Lamar Jackson. And again, you have a power running. Dalvin Cook might be playing. I don't know if that matters to anyone on
earth. Melvin Gordon got cut. Yeah.
It's like they're cycling through like that guy. Who's the replacement level running back that has fantasy name recognition? Let's get them. Hey, it's Dalvin Cook. Let's get him in here. So we'll see about that.
The line is Ravens minus 9.5.
I think the Ravens win outright. I'm not comfortable with the line.
The system likes the Ravens. The DVOA system likes the Ravens to cover. I'm trying to not think about Lamar Jackson's playoff history because I don't think it really matters.
Let's not talk about it. I don't want to think about it either.
But so I mean, we'll talk about the Packers in a second. This is no diss on CJ Stroud or a celebration of the Packers defense or Joe Barry, but I feel like the Packers are more likely to cover than the Texans are.
I agree, and I think we'll talk about that in a minute. You see me clicking here. Just getting the forecast. This is a Saturday game, right?
Yes, it's a cold,
but clear, 28 degrees. I don't know if that's really going to have any impact. Houston is a little bit more of a warm weather team. Just making sure, because you and I know there's precipitation all over our forecast over the next couple of days, but there's nothing going on there. I would lean towards Ravens to win. I'm not comfortable enough to bet it with the cover. If I do something, it'll be money line based.
All right, let's go with the Packers at the 49ers. Also a 9.5-point spread. And of course, the 49ers were second in DVOA and first in everything offense related. Wow. But the Packers are now number 2 in weighted offense.
Okay.
If you look at the second half of the season and you add in the wild card game. Now, here's the Packers destroyed dime defense last year.
Okay.
It was a low enough sample that I didn't mention it on the show last week. And then the Cowboys came out and played all that dime and the Packers destroyed it.
Yeah.
The San Francisco 49ers did not play a single snap of dime this year.
Wow. Not a
Greenlaw and Fred Warner are on the field all the time.
Right.
We're not going to do the thing where we run against their dime looks. There's no dime looks are coming. That's not happening.
Running and setting up a little play.
Very different defense. They blitz much less than the Cowboys. It's a very different defense than what the Packers faced last week.
Not a single snap is remarkable because, third and 20 happens, and most coaches will be like, okay, get Greenwall off the field, get one other guy up there. And no, third and 20, 2 linebackers, we're going with it.
There was one other team that had no dime, and I can't remember who they are right now.
Probably somebody that has like a linebacker who's like 219 pounds, and then pretty much a safety.
I mean, Jordan Love improved against pressure and the blitz in the last few weeks. I don't have numbers in front of me.
Oh, I got numbers.
Yeah,
I'm working on a Jordan Love thing. Okay. Jordan Love, when pressured, weeks 1 to 5, he had a 30% completion rate, 5.4 yards per attempt. Then it went up week 6 to 10. Then it went up again weeks 11 to 15. Week 16 to last week, 71.4% completion rate, 9.7 yards per attempt. That's like otherworldly statistics with pressure. And that can't continue. Nobody is that good with pressure over the long term. No. And the stats show this gradual improvement that reaches a point where it's like, okay, it's like when the stock market hits high, it's got to level off a little bit. Very good for his broad-based improvement. I think it's very good for prop bets, frankly, this week. We can talk about that a little bit. But it's not good for saying, this is going to be an upset.
49ers, meanwhile, the 49ers, Purdy was the best quarterback in the league when blitzed this year. He dropped to like 11th if you get pressure on him without a blitz.
Okay.
So the Packers have to figure out how to get pressure without a blitz.
Nope.
And by the way, the Packers are 31st in DVOA on pass defense on plays where there is not pass pressure.
And they don't have that pass rusher at all. I mean, Rashawn Gary's a good pass rusher. Preston Smith's a good veteran. Kenny Clark gives you something. They don't have that guy. You don't have, we're going to win because here comes TJ Watt. Even, who was it? The Bengals guy.
Trey Hendrickson.
You don't even have that level of guy who caused fits for the Niners in that game. So I don't know how they manufacture pressure without bringing more than 4 guys.
And Brian Knowles points out in the preview that's up right now on ftnfantasy.com/DVOA that the 49ers were actually a little bit Civ-like against the rush in some games this year. And Packers can probably run on them a bit. The problem is they can't run on them a bit if they're behind by 21 points.
At halftime.
Right. The problem with all of this, the problem with the Jordan Love, the problem with all this is that it is very unlikely that the Packers come out and play defense like they did against Dallas, given that how good the Packers defense is. Right. They had a good game, but the 49ers offense is so good.
Yes.
They're going to find the guys. They're going to get the yards after the catch.
Yes.
The run success rates. I tweeted out a thing with run success rates from different concepts, and the top two are the 49ers.
That's amazing.
49ers outside zone and 49ers inside zone. So they're going to run and they're going to pass and they're going to yak, and the Packers are not going to keep up. Like, as good as Jordan Love has been, they're just not going to keep. I just don't see them keeping up.
They lack the experience on offense, and they lack the anything on defense to stay in this game. And that's why, like, with my as impressed as I am with Jordan Love, I'm not looking even at cover. I'm starting to look at some of these props. Like the passing yard prop for Jordan Love is 250.5. And you can hit that by him having a lights out game. You can hit that by him playing catch up down by 21 points. Right. And I'm looking at some of these things like that. He's good. He's definitely good enough that if this turns into a runaway, to make his statistics look good along the way. And that's kind of where I'm landing with any sort of bets on this game, because I hate the spread. I don't want to take – I would lean 49ers with this spread. If I want to do something interesting, I'm going to do it with player props.
Joao Pedro asks, for the players, how does Week 18 weigh on DVOA for the teams that rested their starters? In DVOA itself, as it shows on the site, I never take out any games.
Okay.
I count everything. For the playoff odds and the picks against the spread, I adjust for Week 18.
Good.
So when I tell you that the system picks the Packers to cover, that's based on the 49ers with Week 18 removed.
Okay, yeah, no Carson Wentz in there.
But when I tell you that the Ravens were fourth on offense this year, that includes Week 18, because they would have been second without Week 18.
And that's important for like the official of record DVOA to not have these sort of line item vetoes. But this team rested their starters at halftime, and then you start like putting.
Right. What happens when they play their defense, but they rest their quarterback? And what happens if they rest their receivers, but they play their quarterback? And then you go back, especially when you go back in the past, you end up with, Joe Montana took 8 sacks against the Rams in the last week of 1988. So then they sat him down and played Steve Young. Is that a sit your starters game or not?
Right.
So, but yeah, so when it comes to the playoff odds and the picks against the spread, I do take out Week 18 for Kansas City and San Francisco and Baltimore.
Right.
So yeah, I the system likes Green Bay to cover.
Okay.
I think would pick San Francisco, and I think if Green Bay covers, it's going to be a backdoor cover.
It would be a backdoor cover, and that might be one where if I'm sitting here at this desk, hanging out on the Discord, the DVOA Diaspora Discord, and I see a live line that goes all the way up to Packers plus 16 or something, I hit that hard for the comeback, for the Doom comeback. But I don't think I'm going to play that going into the game. All
right, Sunday, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. This game is happening. I know you haven't heard about it very much, because we all want to talk about the Chiefs and the Bills, and the Ravens and the 49ers are the Super Bowl favorites. So we all want to talk about them. This game is also happening, by the way.
Also happening.
Yeah. Yes. Lions currently favored by 6.5. Buccaneers were 18th in DVOA, although they're a little higher in weighted DVOA. Once you look more for the second half of the season and the wild card game. And of course, the Lions' pass defense has really fallen apart in the second half of the year. The Buccaneers have this first down thing. Baker Mayfield has been amazing on first downs all year. The Lions are 24th on third down. Sorry, not on first downs, on third downs.
Yeah,
sorry, third downs.
Okay.
The Lions are 24th on third down, including 26th against the pass.
Oh, my God. So we could get a repeat of just hey, it's third and long, let's stop them, and you don't.
And then here is a weird stat. The Lions were 31st in ESPN's run-stop win rate, but first in run defense DVOA.
I don't understand that.
I would have to really look into on a play-by-play basis how they grade run blocks and run stops. That's really weird. That's a really weird, because normally that run stop win rate from ESPN tracks very well with adjusted line yards. But the Lions defense was 6th in adjusted line yards.
I would hate to think that guys are doing like hard slants and stuff like that, slanting themselves out of gaps so the linebackers can fill the gaps, and something along the way is missing that and thinking these guys are making mistakes or running.
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to look on a like block by block basis. On the other hand, by the way, Tampa Bay's running game sucks. They're dead last in run block win rate. They cannot run.
No, and they never have been able to, and they couldn't against the Eagles, which kept that game close.
If they can run, it'll be to the right side.
Okay.
Their ALY numbers are best on the right side, and the Lions' defensive ALY numbers are worst on the right side.
Okay.
I think that's where Hutchinson normally is.
He's somebody who I can say his goal
makes sense as someone who doesn't necessarily set the edge against the run because he's going after the pass pressure so much.
Right. And that by design, they have a linebacker coming in to fill for him. Like, that's not like, oh, you're just doing crazy stuff. It's like, this is your goal. You do it.
When Detroit is on offense, 27.5% DVOA without a blitz, 11.9% with a blitz. It will not shock you that Jared Goff is worse with a blitz. What does Tampa like to do? Blitz.
And they were doing all kinds of fun stuff against the Eagles.
The Lions' offense is better against zones. Tampa Bay's defense is 1st in man and 29th in zone.
Just try to pick it apart over the middle.
And then the other thing I noted is the Buccaneers were 3rd against running backs as receivers, only allowing 27 receiving yards per game. So there's a Jahmyr Gibbs under prop out there that's good.
We should probably look at that. By the way, on the injury report, Chris Godwin is on the injury report right now. He was I don't recall if he was limited in practice, but that's something worth looking at. The Lions injury report is pretty whistle clean. Your Jahmyr Gibbs over-under is 24.5.
Receiving yards.
I don't know if I would.
There's usually 1 to Montgomery for like 10.
Yes.
I don't think I necessarily would go under. I feel like that price is in the fact that the Bucs are good against it.
Right. So I would just kind of steer away from that.
I'm feeling Bucs. Not necessarily to win out. But if I have to pick this spread, I'm going Bucs plus 6.5. I don't want to. I mean, I don't want the Buccaneers to win this game. Right? Like, it's much based on my general belief, which is I root for the teams where the fans have struggled the longest. You want the Lions to win this.
Yes.
The Buccaneers, they just got a title.
Right. They got like a rent a title. Like, here, look,
they just had one. The Detroit, has never been to a Super Bowl. You want Detroit to win unless you're a Tampa Bay fan. You want Detroit to win. Like, even Green Bay and Chicago fans are probably rooting for Detroit in this game. But if I have to pick this spread, I'm picking Tampa.
I just hate the idea of Tampa climbing over that bad division, beating a bunch of terrible teams, then coming in and facing the Eagles when they're basically saying, we surrender, we hate ourselves, we hate life, come win. And then getting to this next level. And again, it'll be well earned at this point because they match up well because of the things they can do with their blitz, et cetera. I just hate it. But you're right, especially when you get 6.5?
6.5.
6.5. It feels like very comfortable. You get 6.5, and this comes out with a 4-point Lions win at that.
Hitchhiker's Pie points out, by the way, that Godwin's and Evans were 4th and 5th for the Buccaneers in receiving yards last week. Yeah, they found Trey Palmer and they found Cade Otton.
Mm-hmm.
Even with a couple of Cade Otton drops, they found Cade Otton. So they were David Moore came out of nowhere.
Godwin was banged up, and Slay was on the field, and they might have been like, why even bother? Why bother?
You're like, you don't want to see the Bucs get past come out of that bad division and make it to the NFC Championship. But my God, what's the line if the Bucs play the 49ers?
Oh my gosh. You'd have to look up the biggest lines in the championship.
What's the biggest line in a conference championship game?
Oh my God. Right. Because that's gonna be 2 touchdowns. That will be 2 touchdowns.
All right, let's finish it up. I got my little guys right here. I got my little guys. There's little Josh Allen right there.
Little Josh Allen.
Little Patrick Mahomes. I'm ready. Chiefs at Bills. Bills favored by 2.5, which I saw like some Chiefs fans making a really big deal about the fact that Bills.
Oh my God.
The Bills are favored by 2.5. That's almost the home field advantage.
Yes.
Right. In effect, that's the Bills being favored by like 1.
The line disrespects us.
Yeah.
Like the line disrespects no one. The line is there to exist, to make money, deal with it.
Right. The difference between the Chiefs and the Bills in that line is 2 Marquez Valdez-Scantling drops and home field advantage.
Yes. And Tony lining up in his whatever zone.
Both quarterbacks this year I wrote down are about the same with and without a blitz. But the Buffalo defense is better without a blitz by about 15% DVOA.
Okay.
And the Kansas City defense is better with a blitz by about 12% DVOA. So Kansas City wants to blitz a little more, and Buffalo wants to blitz a little less.
Spag likes to blitz. Yeah. Now, all eyes are on the injury reports.
John Coleman says, can you guys update us? The Buffalo secondary is all beat up with tons of injuries. Plus, of course, linebacker Terrell Bernard. Bernard, I think, is out, right? Like that.
Well, let's see. Now, here you go. I got this. And again, this is a little bit old. This is from yesterday. And Sean McDermott confirmed that Teron Johnson is in the concussion protocol and is, quote, day to day. For Bernard, McDermott said that they are taking it, quote, one day at a time. So one of them is day to day, and one of them is taking it one day at a time.
And Rasul Douglas is the other one.
Rasul Douglas is the other one. I don't have anything on him right now. I have a feeling. Let me see if I have anything here. I have a feeling because he was kind of game time last week that you will get Rasul back.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that they think he's coming back this week.
Yes, I don't have anything on Christian Benford right now. I can look that up real. But I think what it is we're all in a watch and see mode. I get the impression for both the day by day and one day at a time. Very likely both of those guys are out, and that's going to be significant. I think Douglas will be back.
Chiefs offense is much better against zone. Okay. And the Bills defense is better in man.
Right. You want zones so you can get the ball to Kelsey just kind of messing around in the spaces in between.
Bills 7th on short pass. The problem is you play man coverage against Mahomes. Mahomes will scramble on.
And that's exactly it, because you're like, oh, we can man up on all of these guys, and then we can do some kind of bracket on Kelsey. You're right. You're setting yourself up for the scrap.
You might want a man with a rover.
With a rover.
Spy.
But now all your linebackers are hurt, so who's your rover?
Bills, they talked a lot on the broadcast about the Bills don't allow a lot of deep passes, but if you do throw it deep against them, they're not that good.
Okay.
But Mahomes has been below average on deep passes this year. Did I mention Marquez Valdez-Scantling?
Marquez Dropling. Exxon Valdez-Scantling. Yeah. And also remember, the Bills play the Jets twice. They played the Patriots twice. When you see that they're exceptional against deep passes, I'm not doubting them, but you have to look at strength.
The number of deep right. When you see that they prevent the amount of deep passes, you're like, well, the Patriots don't pass deep, and the Jets don't pass deep.
You also have Tua, so there is that.
But the Bills can run on the Chiefs' defense, which is 27th against the run. Based on that success rate in different running concepts, they can inside zone and power will be good against the Chiefs.
Okay, and that's from that material you tweeted
out earlier from FTN charting. Yeah. Nice. Chiefs are 25th against number 2 receivers, and I believe Gabriel Davis will be back for this game.
I think so. I did not see him on the injury report where everybody was either day to day or taking it one day at a time.
And I do believe this is a windy.
It's a wind game?
I believe that it's 22 or 23 miles an hour winds.
Ooh. I don't know where to go with that, except I'm still worried about the Bills. Even though they've proven now they can win in some bad
NFL
conditions.
weather says, only 13 mile an hour winds, but 17. That's dropped since the last time I looked at the preview. But mostly cloudy, 17 degrees Fahrenheit.
Both of these teams showed last week they're here because they handled the elements well. By the way, I was looking at some of the props, and like one of them was who will have the most rushing yards in the divisional round. These get fun this time of year. Who will have the most rushing yards in the divisional round? And I was looking at James Cook at plus 750.
Yeah.
Based on
against that Chiefs defense, absolutely, especially if the Bills take a lead.
Right. By the way, McCaffrey's leader at plus 150. Aaron Jones at plus 500, not touching that. Pacheco plus 650. Cook plus 750. Singletary plus 1,000.
I think you mean minus, not plus.
No, these are all pluses. So it's which guy has the most, like,
oh, okay. All
overall of all 4 games. It's an all 4 game problem.
Okay.
So these are all pluses,
Yeah.
right? So you get Cook at plus 750 for the
Hitchhiker's Pie points out the over prop on quarterback rushes because Mahomes seems to always run more in the playoffs than he does in the regular season.
Oh my God, that sounds great. That sounds phenomenal. I absolutely love it. I'm not going to be able to pull it up right now. So it's too many clicks. But I love the idea.
So how do you feel? So how do you feel about this with the line being Bills minus 2.5? My feeling is I would never want to bet this at all.
No. And I will begin trusting the Bills in a game of this caliber. Maybe never.
It's tough because we've all been waiting for the Chiefs to turn on the switch.
They don't.
And it's not happening.
Right.
But the Bills are so inconsistent that the Chiefs could easily win this.
And we keep waiting for the Bills to trip, and they don't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm going to lean Chiefs on this. I think there's a lot of similarities in this team in that they are kind of like really running in defense teams now with a superstar quarterback making occasional splash plays. Not what we normally think of them as these offensive juggernauts.
And the running of the quarterback. And Mahomes runs more in the playoffs. And I don't remember who said this, but Mahomes' speed always seems to be 1 mile an hour faster than whoever is the fastest defender going after him.
Yes. That weird gait of his. It's like, how is he outrunning this guy? Yeah, in 1 minute it's an edge rusher, and the next minute it's a cornerback.
And then Allen with the runs and the power.
Yes.
To run over guys.
Right. And the design.
Yeah, this is a really close. This is going to be great.
Right.
This is going to be a great game.
It's okay to wait till kickoff and see what the injury report looks like, and then place your bets accordingly, and maybe say, I'm just going to watch this game, or I'll find some fun props like over under on quarterback rushes and play it that way.
Bill Houston believes that Willie Gay can effectively spy Josh Allen.
Okay.
Oh, when we were talking about the conference championship games, Hitchhiker's Pie found the 91 Redskins were minus 14 against the Lions. That's the highest conference championship game.
Oh, and they came by that one, honestly. I don't remember.
They had beaten them by like 45 points earlier this season.
Yeah, and that was like a weak Lions team. Hitchhiker, I'm guessing they covered on that one. I'm not going to look it up, but
I believe that they did.
That's interesting. If this happens, I will go hunting as well. But I'm guessing you're actually right on that.
Really quick before I wrap up, Hitchhiker's Pie wants to know about the update. For people who know, the historical archives now include player DVOA for the playoffs. There was an error where it listed the number of fumbles in the year 2000 for receivers was listed as the same as the number of passes. So that's all I fixed.
So everybody fumbled like 144 times.
But it wasn't. The ratings didn't reflect that.
Okay, good.
It has to do with the way things are in the data. I fixed that. So that's all. It just fixes the number of fumbles. None of the ratings changed.
Excellent.
All right. So that does it for our divisional round preview. We'll be back on Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to wrap up the divisional round and look forward to going down to 4 teams. We're going to go from 8 to 4 this weekend. Don't forget that Bucks at Lions is happening. Nobody will talk about it, but it doesn't.
And it's 3:00, which means I'll be walking around in circles at 1:00 on Sunday, which is what I was doing this week because there was no game, and I'm like pacing back and forth, like, what am I supposed to do now?
And that's I don't remember which one Fox gets and which one NBC gets. I know ESPN. I think NBC gets Packers 49ers, and then Fox gets the Lions and the Bucks. I don't remember.
That would be backwards from normal, but like it's a topsy-turvy world we live in, and I don't think I'll be able to pull it up on NFL Jesus. They will not have the. Anyway, I'll flip channels on my TV until I find it. It's not going to be on Peacock, so we're fine.
No, nothing on Peacock. All right, everybody. Thank you so much again for watching the live stream. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Tell all your friends about the podcast as we get closer to the Super Bowl and do more previewing, and check out the awesome playoff articles on ftnfantasy.com/DVOA. The first 2 are up now. The next 2 will be up tomorrow. For Mike Tanier, I am Aaron Schatz. So long, and we will talk to you Monday morning.